Is Deadstream a horror hit or a complete waste of your time? I'm Leo, and Bootube Breakdowns is here to save your scary movie night from becoming a complete snooze fest. Right off the bat, Deadstream scores a 7.2 out of 10, landing it in our Pumpkin King category. But here's the twist. I've already lost more than a finger's worth of time to give you the score up front, and over the next few minutes, I'll break down exactly why it earned that rating. If you disagree with my score at the end of the video, be sure to let me know how much you want to eat an undead eyeball in a dirty tub about it in the comment section. More on that later. It follows Sean Ruddy, a disgraced YouTuber and streamer who recently got unbanned and remonetized after a few controversial videos got him into some hot water. As a big comeback, he decides to play Midnight Ghost Hunter and stream the whole thing on video. The blood flows when the stream does not go according to plan, as the haunted house may have more dark secrets than expected. So now you know the plot, but a weak story can bury any flick. Let's dig into this one. So simple question, does this movie even have a good story? You see, at first I thought this movie was doomed to fail, packed with every horror cliche in the book. But to my surprise, the simple plot has its charm. Sean's an obnoxious attention seeker, hawking merch, chasing super chats, and plugging sponsors like there's no tomorrow. The stream is the setup that cleverly drives the story, letting Sean stumble into convenient information that moves the plot along while making stupid decisions that feel oddly natural. For example, in the scene where he heads back to the haunted house instead of bolting, you're not there wondering why Sean would do something so dumb. Instead, you're left there groaning as his desperation for views and recovering his career makes these decisions feel like something on brand for him to do. This is why I believe the delivery of the story earns this movie a 7 out of 10. That said, a killer story needs killer timing. Let's see if the pacing keeps it alive. The major problem with most ghost stories is that the writers doom the script by over-explaining the spirit's sob story. Deadstream, however, lets the haunted house's creepy vibes do the talking, which saves time for character focus. The pacing is tight. In 15 minutes, you know that Sean's a desperate clout chaser, and by the 30-minute mark, Mildred's curse is completely set up. This leaves an hour of raw spooks. Sean's repeated trips to the main room and closet could have been the film's final nail in the coffin, but these scenes are quick and used to emphasize Sean's cowardice, rather than an attempt to mirror what the writers want the audience to feel on screen. The car scene does slow the natural flow of the film a little bit to deliver a plot point, but it keeps a constant threat of a zombie outside present and feels like it's over very quickly. The flick is mostly meat, very little flab. Pacing can slay or save a scare, and this shaped my 8 out of 10 verdict. But let's not forget, however, this is still a scary movie. Does it make your skin crawl? Next, I'll check out the fear factor. Now, when it comes to horror elements, this movie threw the proverbial kitchen sink at them. There is blood, hauntings, possessions, drownings, bodily harm, body horror, necrophagy. There's even a scene where Sean gets waterboarded by his own pee. Yeah, it's gross, but it was presented in such a way that it acted more as comic relief within a very tense situation without completely breaking the anxiety and fear of the scene. Overall, there was a constant sense of suspense, fear, and danger throughout the movie that never stopped once the setup was complete and the hauntings began. Personally, I will not be having any nightmares with this movie, and I expect hardcore horror fans will feel the same. However, this movie does make a good faith attempt to scare you. And while at times the props used were clearly cheap and handmade, I think the average spooky movie enjoyer will jump a time or two. Based on this, I would give this movie a preliminary 8 out of 10 in the horror factor. That being said, however, cheap scares are a major problem in horror movies that take away from the real horror, and as such, I'll call them out. Personally, I was pleasantly surprised. This movie didn't lean into the cheap scare factor, and just let the entire film do all the scaring for you. I only found one cheap scare in the entire plot, and personally, I would call it in to reduce our score from an 8 out of 10 to 7 out of 10. Personally, but scary or not, a horror movie is still a movie. The goal of a movie should always be to entertain its audience. And here's the question. Was this movie enjoyable? Dare I say, fun? Let's find out. So now, here's the question. Is this movie fun? Yes, yes, and yes. The movie knew not to take itself too serious and have fun with the role. And it shows because you can tell the actors were having fun with the role too. As I previously mentioned, this movie had a little bit of every kind of horror for every horror fan. My favorite scene is when Sean is possessed and inside a dirty tub and eating an eyeball of a zombie that just manifested in there. Now, I'm going to stop right here so not to spoil too much, but all in all, I found myself enjoying the movie a lot more than I thought I would, and I think you were going to have about as much fun with it as I did. Now, fun can resurrect a flawed flick, and this helped land it a solid 10 out of 10. However, all good things must come to an end, so will this ending amaze or disappoint? Unfortunately, the ending of Deadstream stumbles a bit, landing it in cliche territory. Sean completes a task, lifts the curse, the ghost issue seems to be resolved, and then bam, in the last 30 seconds, multiple spirits come out of nowhere, crash the party, and it cuts to black. Now this is fitting for a found footage movie, but it feels rushed, like the directors were dying to wrap it up. Now, don't get me wrong, for a self-funded passion project, I understand grabbing any ending that sticks, but the plot point about Mildred's soul-controlling powers could have been used to portray Sean as a tragic character that would have been fitting for his clout-chasing personality. Delivering a simple line or two, such as, "Oh God, with this, I'll be back on top. All right, chat, what do you think? Should I use Mildred's power?" And then have him try to set up a poll on his stream. Then this, of course, would have infuriated the ghosts and caused them to attack him. I feel like it was a much better ending if they would have done something so simple with that. They wouldn't even have to do much more filming or editing off of it. And I don't know, it just feels like a wasted opportunity for something like this. As it stands, however, the ending was a copy-paste ending seen in every other horror movie of its kind. Not a bad ending, just kind of meh. And that's why I give it an ending of 4 out of 10. So let's wrap up this review. Averaging our score gives us a 7.2 out of 10, landing Deadstream in our Pumpkin King category. Well guys, that's Bootube Breakdowns' take on Deadstream. Do you agree with my rating? Scream your score in the comment section and tell me what horror flick I should gut next. If this saved your spooky vibes, smash that like, share with your horror crew, and subscribe to Bootube Breakdowns for more killer verdicts. Keep it creepy, and I'll haunt you in the next review.